Hi, I'm Andrew, the young adult and media librarian at North Brunswick Public Library. Like a lot of Jewish Americans, I can trace my ancestry down to uh, what were known as shtetls. Shtetls were villages with the Jewish populations in Eastern Europe, in Russia, Poland, that area. And life was sort of hard there. The people worked hard, and death was always around them. And this presence of death, this knowledge of death, is something that comes into play in this new fantasy novel, The Way Back by Gavriel Savit. If you like Neil Gaiman and Philip Pullman, then I would definitely recommend this novel to you. I think that if you like that kind of fantasy, where there's something there's something mysterious underneath the world that we don't know, that we may or may not see on a regular basis. Okay. Well, in this shtetl, right, this takes place, over 100 years ago, and somewhere in Eastern Europe. And we meet two teenagers here, and they both had, and their lives are very different from ours, I would say. We meet Yehuda Lieb and Bluma. They're both from this town. And early in Yehuda Lieb he's a bit of a trickster. He's somebody who tends to get in trouble. He might steal things that don't belong to him, but he really loves his mother. So it's to help his mother, of course. There's something very likable about him, even though he's no angel. And Bluma is, sort of he seems a bit more of a traditional person, someone who doesn't necessarily like to get in trouble. They're both very clever people, but each of them individually has an encounter with the angel of death early in the book. And it's interesting how the angel of death appears differently to them, including different genders to them, right? To Yehuda Lieb, he seems male, and to Bluma, she seems female. But they both have reasons to fear the angel of death, and they each individually have to go on adventures. And of course, they do meet up. And along the way, they meet some very colorful characters, a lot of including demons from Jewish folklore and legend. And at this point, I'm going to read a quick excerpt from the book. And this is where their adventures lead them to the treasure house of Lord Mammon, who is a demon. The treasure house of Lord Mammon is a wide, rambling jumble of walls and buttresses, portices, arches, and columns. By the time Yehuda Lieb came near, the crow had long since gone in through a window casement many stories above. Yehuda Lieb was eager to follow. But the doors of the treasure house are many. Those who wish to walk unopposed find open archways. Those who wish to ask and be invited find doors that swing inward at the tapping of a knuckle. And boys like Yehuda Lieb, who are certain that they deserve to be inside, as they are, that they will be turned away, find locks and barriers, chains and deadbolts, and eventually a single low, out-of-the-way door with a knob that turns smoothly. As much out of habit as out of custom, Yehuda Lieb left the door ajar behind him. Everybody knows it is unwise to shut yourself in where you ought not to be. The room in which Yehuda Lieb found himself now was low and dim. All around him, rough-hewn shelves crowded in close, reaching from the floor, which was either made of dirt or so thick with dust that it might as well have been, up to the bowed and buckling ceiling. No one is meant to see Lord Mammon's hoard itself. In accordance with the terms of a treaty once set up between Lord Mammon and Lord Dantalion, Master of Whispers, another great and noble demon, a cataloging was undertaken long ago to make a record of the hoard's vast holdings. As of this writing, the project is still ongoing. As an example, among the catalog's nearly innumerable volumes, there are fully 27 500 pages each, with every page accommodating between 25 and 30 entries, describing only Lord Mammon's collection of porcelain cups. None of these 27 volumes touch upon his porcelain bowls, of which there are many, or his stone cups, of which there are more, or any other vessel of porcelain or other substance. At first, Yehuda Lieb thought the hoard was entirely without organization, but as he made his way through room after low-ceilinged room, he began to notice affinities in the chaos. Here were several shelves containing dulled, sharp things, kitchen knives, needles and pins, shards of glass. On his right were a shelf of writings that had once been legible, but were no longer. And up ahead, the marks of dirt and clay identified shelves of things dug up from the ground. Things. There seemed to be no end to them. Out of curiosity, Yehuda Lieb took an old map down from a high shelf, but the accumulated mass of angry, feathery dust on its surface threw him into such paroxysm of sneezing that he resolved as much as possible to leave things where they were. On and on Yehuda Lieb. Where was the crow? Where was his father? There were no lamps or windows here, at least none that were operational. And the shelves began to close in, bringing the thick darkness close to his skin. Before he knew it, Yehuda Lieb could no longer see where he was going. Soon he was navigating by touch alone, running his fingers along the rough wooden shelves until his hands were full of spiders. Carefully he made his way onward, his nerves fraying further and further by the moment. But in the thick, silent darkness, the time had to come to spin in anxious, meaningless circles. Who could tell a moment any more? Was there even such a thing? And just as the notion occurred to him, Yehuda Lieb put his boot directly into a large burlap sack of what were unmistakable human teeth. He cursed and stumbled backwards, brushing hard at his pant leg, and it was only at this precise angle, bent and backwards, that he happened to see something far off through the clutter. A hint of glimmering light, a door, and behind it, a fire burning. So that was one excerpt, and that'll give you some sense of the writing style of it. There's humor and there's horror in this tale. The demons are a lot of fun. I certainly enjoyed them. And Death himself, or Death herself, depending on who's viewing Death at the time, is also an interesting character, multifaceted even. So I think that this is, a good, rich, rewarding experience. Have you read this book yet? I'm curious to hear your opinion about it. Also, I'd love to hear your own suggestions for books for me to look at, and maybe books for the library to purchase. And you can place a hold on this through our contactless pickup system. You can either call the library or go online to northbrunswicklibrary.org. And if you enjoy it, if you do pick it up, I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you very much, and happy reading.